I mean, for the YouTube subscribers. Go subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC Vegas 40, Ladd versus Dumont. Maybe the worst main event ever on paper, guys. Surprise Ladd got this one after missing weight a few weeks ago. She looked terrible on the scales going to 135. She's moving up to 145 for this one, so that's something to keep in mind here. I'll definitely break down this main event shortly. Yeah, it's just surprising. Dana White got asked about it a bunch of times. I know they reached out to multiple people to take this fight on short notice, and they didn't take it, so Ladd was, I guess, maybe the second or third option. But I think she's better maybe at 145. However, she's not going to be bigger or be able to use her physicality, in my opinion, moving up here. So that will definitely be interesting to see. There are a few spots, though, on this card that I do like. I'll be going over the main card like I always do. I'll give out my free picks, tell you what fights to avoid, and break down the main card. Almost another perfect free card, guys, but the main event, my favorite play in that was the fight not to go the distance. I did parlay that. I did go one-on-one on the card for personal plays. No profit, 1-1, moving the record to 33-8. 33-8 client run right now. That's all fights. I told you guys not to bet on Dern. I told you to avoid the Dern price. If you were going to bet a side, you would play Rodriguez. I had no personal play on the side, but I mentioned to you guys, don't bet Dern at minus 170. Do not bet Dern at minus 170. From what we've seen from her fight so far is, you know, she struggles to get it to the ground. She doesn't get it to the ground. She's not going to win the fight. She got it to the ground once, maybe twice. One was too late. The second one, Rodriguez was able to stay in there. And you can just see Rodriguez striking. It was just so much better, which I did expect. And the whole question was, can Marina keep it on the feet? And she was able to. She was able to keep it on the feet. Very impressive what I've seen to her. She's not far away from a title shot, guys. So excited to see what is next for her. And, you know, Dern just needs to improve all around. Sure, well, maybe not on her jiu-jitsu game, of course, but she needs to improve definitely on the takedowns. She needs to learn how to take down the fight correctly. And also, obviously, her striking. Her striking isn't good as either. So hopefully you guys stayed off that minus 170 on Dern. Let's get right into the weekly update here, guys. Weekly update. Still 65% best bets. This is long term, guys. This isn't 65% off 2, 3, 4, 5 months. This is 2 years. 2 years, long-term winning here with the system. Like I mentioned, 101 last week, no profit, and down a unit here. 33-8, 80% run for clients right now. This is also, you know, a few months now. So 33 and 80% run, large run, one of the larger runs I've been on for a while here. Let's look at PGA. PGA, rare rough card. The cut was ugly last week. I don't know if all you UFC viewers watch PGA or follow the PGA. However, that cut line was rough. There's 11 or 12 top-end golfers that got cut last week, which I fell victim to, and I'm sure most people that bet PGA fell victim to. We're still on a 68% best bet. That's almost 2 years. 68% best bets in almost 2 years, guys. 65% matchup run currently. 4 outrights in the last 7. 4 outrights in the last 7. These are PGA single events, not counting the Ryder Cup. So 4 outrights in the last 7 single events, and just under 60 units in the prop market, guys. PGA has been great this year. NFL, huge week last week in the NFL for me. 9-1 all plays. 9-1 all plays. We're on a 10-1 run going back to last Monday night with the Chargers. Not this Monday before. 66% spreads and totals right now. And another outright dog winner for you guys. What can I say? 5-0 in the underdog outright winners. We had the Bills last week, and this is all for free. Hopefully you guys are checking out my NFL videos every week. They come out Friday morning, so give them a look. Tell your friends about it. And we also had a teaser winner in there as well. Before we get into the main card, let's hear from my friend Meredith.
Foreman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Guys, also remember, systemsportscapping.com to become a client today. Always new clients each week, each month. I do thank you guys for continuously supporting me, and all the new clients that are reaching out and coming on board. You're going to profit long-term with the system that I have. So if you're in the profiting long-term business and you want to profit betting on sports and enjoying them at the same time, head over to the website. Proven winners over years and years. You can get detailed emails from me on each bet that I make. I usually send it out either days before the event or the morning of the event. I don't send them out an hour before or whatnot. If that does happen, it's a rare thing because I had some last minute news. Let's get right into the main card. Like I always say, shop around. Have multiple books and shop around for the best price. Prices vary from book to book. So like I mentioned, have 4, 5, 6 different books, and hopefully you have access. You're in the state or the country that allows you to do that. Main event, guys. Main event. Ladd minus 138. Ladd minus 138 versus Dumont plus 100. Ladd's the favorite going into this one. This was supposed to be the Holm fight, right? Holm versus Dumont. She got hurt, and Ladd wanted to get in there right away after missing the weight cut. She took the fight. She moves up, right? She moves up the division, like I mentioned, to 145. Can't make weight. She struggles to make weight. You've seen it last time. It was scary. Her opponent decided not to take the fight. Wasn't the commission that stopped it. The opponent didn't want to fight. The opponent would have got some of her purse, but still didn't care. She didn't take the fight, and bad weight cut. Maybe it's a little healthier that she didn't take the fight for Ladd, and Ladd didn't fight, right? Short notice, of course, for Ladd. Moving up means she will be the smaller fighter. What does Ladd do best is get her opponents to the ground, and with Dumont being the bigger fighter, she could struggle to do so. Right? Dumont's coming off an impressive win over Felicia Spencer. We know Felicia Spencer, right, guys? She's fought for that title before. Dumont's only loss is to Megan Anderson. Now, she only has 7 MMA fights, Dumont, right? So we got to hold our horses here. But she has fought some good girls already in her career. You have to watch the scales in this fight. Remember, it's 145. 145 division is very limited. So that's why Dumont's already fighting main event, right? If Dumont wins this fight, she could already get a title shot. That's how weak this division is. Dumont's coming off an impressive win, like I mentioned, over Spencer, who Spencer lost to Nunez, but fought her well. Went deep in that fight. You want to watch the scales in this fight if you want to bet it. Right? Check the size difference. See how Ladd looks, of course. You never know. Maybe Ladd misses this weight too. You never know. Dumont just looks bigger, thicker. She looks like the bigger girl just from knowing the fighters and just from seeing them this week already. So that's something, in my eyes, it's going to be hard for Ladd to just dominate Dumont in the grappling and for Ladd to be able to get to the ground where she wants. If you look at a striking, right, in the striking department here, not too much of a difference in the numbers if you look at total strikes, etc. But I do think Dumont has the power advantage and the better striker. I do think she is a better striker, not by a ton. Both girls aren't great strikers, but I think Dumont is the better striker, punches a little harder, and could maybe work Ladd. Ladd's very easy to hit. If you look at her fights here, right? Ladd, if you guys aren't too familiar with her, I'm sure most of you are. She was highly touted prospect, right? She got those big fights early at 135. She fought Jermaine Demanami. She did lose that fight. However, she had a nice bounce back against Yana. However, guys, remember, that was 2 years ago. She still hasn't fought for over 2 years. Sure, she's been training. She's been training for a couple fights now. So it's a little different. She's not just coming in, right off that injury. So that's something to keep in mind here as well. She hasn't fought for the 2 years. The whole weight cut issues, the short notice, and she's favored here. I can't get to it. I can't get to this price. I cannot bet Ladd here. Am I going to bet a side in here? Probably not. If I did, it would be Dumont, just because it's plus money and there's value. I would not lay this price with Ladd with all the concerns that I just mentioned. Right? It's pretty simple here. It's Dumont or pass, and it would be Dumont for a smaller play. Like I mentioned, I haven't betted as of yet. Another interesting line here, which could make my cards fight not to go to the distance. That could be a look here as well. You're going to get plus money as well. So I'm finding some plus money value here in this fight. But it's not a fight I love just because all the question marks. There's a lot of question marks. It's a women's MMA fight. Ladd's moving up a division. The weight cut. Just a lot of questions in this fight. And remember, Dumont has to change her whole game plan. Dumont's fighting Holm, who's a straight-up striker. And her game plan was around that. Now her game plan is not to get taken down and outstrike Ladd. It's just totally different on both sides. So there's a lot of shit going on in this fight. Like I mentioned, it's Dumont, small unit play if you're going to bet it. I'm not going to bet a side as of right now, right? Things may change when I see the scales or before game time, and that's why it benefits to become a subscriber. I send out my plays after weigh-ins on Friday afternoon. That could be the case here for this fight. As of right now, no official play. I'd probably like the fight not to go the distance better than Dumont here. Co-main event, Orlovsky plus 100 versus Felipe minus 115. Yes, Orlovsky's still fighting, guys. He has no plan of retiring either. I was watching an interview with him today, and one of the John Morgan's like, you gonna fight till you're 50? He said no, but I wouldn't be surprised if he fights for another few years, and why not, guys? He's 3-1 in his last 4 fights, and it's coming off a win over Sherman, right? 2 other big wins in there against Bozer and Linz. He's not beating up gas cans. He's beating up, solid heavyweight guys in the middle, mid-tier guys, right? He's very experienced in there as well, right? He's seen everything in the cage. He has I think he has the second most fights in UFC history, if I recall that correctly. And Felipe just 12 fights under his belt, and he is on a 3-fight win streak. Super tough guy, fairly high volume for a heavyweight, not much power. We should see a good fight here, mainly on the feet in my opinion. Both guys don't use wrestling or ground game at all. I don't see KO ability here from either fighter. Felipe doesn't hit hard, like I mentioned. He's more of a volume style fighter. Orlovsky, he could hit hard, but Felipe's tough, man. Felipe has a chin. Both guys are fairly durable. And this is a big test for Felipe. Big test for Felipe. If he can get a win here, it's his big step up in his career, right? I can't lay a price on Felipe right now, minus 115. I see minus 125 out there as well. That won't be making my card. If you ask me to pick a play, which I usually do, I'm not going to be on a side here, but Felipe by decision would be his path, I think, here, just because he can outstrike Orlovsky. But if Orlovsky works the leg kicks on Felipe, Orlovsky could keep this nice streak going. And I wouldn't pass it by Orlovsky winning this fight. What I do love here is the over 2.5. Over 2.5, it would be the play here. 2-fight parlay. Fight to go the distance as well. Both these guys just don't have the KO ability, guys. No submission game from either. I don't see this fight getting to the ground. I just see it being more of a kickboxing style fight, and see who's going to get the most points. I would avoid the side here, but look at the over 2.5 rounds in this fight to go the distance. Speaking of guys that fight a lot in the UFC, Jim Miller, minus 210 versus Gonzalez, plus 175. Jim Miller is back, and yes, after this fight, he will have the most fights in UFC history, guys. 38. Impressive. It tells you that, two things. He's old, but he also has a ton of experience in there against a guy that doesn't have any. Miller was supposed to fight, I think, a month ago, guys. It got canceled due to COVID. Keep that in mind. He was supposed to have another opponent as well. So it's short notice for Gonzalez. I guess short notice you want to say for Miller as well. And Miller seemed to struggle a bit with the COVID. I did see an interview. He said it wasn't an easy time for him. Keep that in mind as well. This is Gonzalez's first fight in the UFC. so not much to see from the guy. He's been fighting in lower division and lower promotions, LFX, lower promotion. So, yeah, it's hard for him. It's hard for me to see him to come in here and beat Jim Miller, a veteran. Miller's going to want to get this to the ground, no secret, and get a submission. So you can't bet Miller at minus 210, and you can't throw him in a 2-fight parlay just because his age, and he may struggle because of COVID, and he may struggle if he gets out of the first or second round, if Gonzalez can survive. So the only way, if you want to bet a side in this fight, would be Miller by finish, Miller by sub. That's the only way. You're going to get plus 200s in that, and that would be the only path, I think, for Miller to win this fight. Gonzalez, I think, is the better striker from what I've seen, but does struggle in the grappling department. So, Miller by sub, Miller by finish would be the only way if you want to bet this fight. Stay off that 210 to avoid any disappointment. Fioret minus 230. The French fighter is back. A lot of hype around her versus Silva plus 190. It should be a good fight. Both 7-1 fighters. A lot of the MMA community do like the French fighter. Fioret, I can't really pronounce that name, so sorry guys. Fioret is getting a ton of respect from the books, and I agree. She's looked great so far. 7-fight win streak for the French fighter, and only 2 UFC fights, and both by finish. So keep that in mind as well. Not fighting any household names, but she's getting who she is assigned. I would say Silva fought the better girls, right, and does have 5 UFC fights, so that's one thing to give Silva here. She's coming off a draw versus a tough De La Rosa. Silva will have the ground advantage here and submission game. However, isn't known for her takedowns. She'll come forward, she'll strike too, use some kicks. But if you're gonna have a kickboxing fight with a kickboxer, Fioret has a ton of kickboxing fights, and that's what she started in, right, before MMA. I expect the French fighter to keep this standing, and if she does keep it standing, she's going to win this fight either by points or finish. She has looked very good on the feet, and I do expect her to have the better striking in this matchup. Tough call on the outcome here. I would lean the finish for Iota, but it's something I would avoid on an outcome play, and I would put her in a 2-fight parlay, Fioret, if you do like it. That's the only way I can look here. I don't have an outcome or a rounds bet in this fight. But if the French fighter can keep it on the feet, she wins this fight. Silva's only chance is to get a submission here. And, if Fioret she does have a few takedowns in her fights. If she wants to take it down, I would be careful because Silva could, work off her back. So that's something to keep in mind here. I think she should just keep it on the feet, outpoint her, maybe even find, a knockdown and a TKO finish or even a knockout. But I think the French fighter gets it done here. And I would look at the price now. It could move. Opening fight here, guys. Marquez minus 230 versus Wright plus 190. Not a fight I'll be betting, guys. Always interesting to see Marquez in a fight. You're going to get some shenanigans from him in the interviews, in the ring. With Marquez, he's just one tough son of a bitch, right? And I think Wright's only path would be to find a knockout. However, Marquez has shown he's been durable and that he just keeps coming and he'll just grind it out even though it looks ugly. He'll try to grapple. He'll try to mix in a takedown. He'll try to grapple against a cage. Where I think he has the advantage here. Wright maybe has the advantage in the striking department if it's on the feet and he's playing a distance game. So Marquez will want to try to make it ugly. And I think if he does make it ugly, he can win this fight. But we can't lay minus 230. Come on, guys. This price I cannot get to. If you are putting a small unit on Wright at plus 190, I wouldn't call you crazy because that's where the value is here in this fight. We cannot be laying minus 230 with Marquez. Never do that, guys. Never lay a price like that, even if he does win the fight. It's not a good bet. So stay away from this one, guys. That will do it for this card. Again, this card may be worse than last week's card on paper. But like I mentioned, you never know, right? You never know. These UFC Vegas cards, you tend to get some duds on paper. This would be one of them, especially this main event. Like I mentioned, probably the worst main event in UFC history. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we get a barn burner. You never know. All right, guys, like I always say, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Comment. Share with friends. If you want to start profiting, watch these videos. You're going to profit pretty much every week. Obviously, we're going to have a few down weeks. That's the betting game. If you say you don't lose, you're a liar. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.